or not. Hey, hell, I forgot how I say hello. Hello one, hello all. Welcome to a little late, little I don't know, whatever. It's show business. It's me. It's Peter. Say hi, Peter.
Hi, Peter. Makes
All
you
right,
laugh every time. I don't understand
sure.
why, but
I don't know because you mimic everything I say. I think I do.
hello, one. Hello, all.
That's it. Did I say hello and all? I don't think
Yeah,
I
you
did.
did. You
Okay.
did.
It's so like white noise in the back of my head.
Yeah, it's just
Uh,
autopilot.
yeah. All right. So here's last weekend. We had a bit of a scare. We'll get to Peter and I scare in a second, but for all intents and purposes, Bourne really not really shocking anybody with the money and place it was in. Star Trek, likewise, although Bad Moms being that close,
Yeah, that is pretty close.
that was kind of a nipple twist right there.
Yeah,
I don't. It kind of lets you in on the void of comedy
yeah,
because I don't
yeah,
know. I don't think if we have if let's just say if Central Intelligence was released a month later, and it was like even if it
yeah.
were a month later after it was, that was still like June,
That was still making money.
right? So it would still be in the standings, and I think Bad Moms wouldn't be as powerful, strong. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna have staying power the same way Central Intelligence has staying power.
Right. And Nerve.
Unless it, like, I don't know, I didn't see Bad Moms. I didn't actually even heard a review for Bad Moms. So for all I know, it could be freaking hysterical, and it's going to do great this weekend coming up.
Indeed.
But
It does fill a void, though. You do have to remember that.
yeah, there's no other comments. So it's like Tarzan, Dory, Nerve, Ghostbusters, Lights Out, Ice Age, Secret. Like, there's no other comedies other than Ghostbusters, if you want to call that a comedy.
And you know what? It's the same audience if you're thinking about it.
Yeah,
It's you say whatever the fuck you want, basement dwellers. They're fucking comedies geared towards women.
yeah,
Like that's it.
they're
They're
both the same thing.
cannibalizing audiences. Yeah.
So yeah, it is kind of like if you were like any women were like waiting to see Ghostbusters now, they may be like, well, there's Bad Moms, which is also mainly a female cast where apparently the men don't do anything, and then you have Ghostbusters where apparently the men don't do anything. So it's like it's either way. I mean,
Right. Yeah. And the weird thing is, all right. So wait, let's get out of this. So Pets in 4. That's refusing to die.
yeah,
Ice Age, kind of a last gasp
yeah.
in
I
fifth.
was a little surprised that Ice Age made it, kept in the top five.
Yeah, the difference here is separating 5, 6, 7, and 8 is about a million point seven, 1.7 million.
Yeah,
Because
not
Lights
much.
Out, Ghostbusters, Nerve, they're all really close.
Yeah,
And Nerve was the other new movie, although it came out last Wednesday.
yeah.
Um, it still managed to stick around 8. Dory refusing to die, and Tarzan, just man.
Although I was looking at the box office figures, and it's funny because I looked at Lights Out, and Lights Out cost like I think it was 5 million to make, and it's brought in 40 million
Uh-huh,
plus,
uh-huh.
and Tarzan may cost like 150 to make,
Mhm.
and has brought in just over 100 million. So it's like
Domestic.
yes, Tarzan has made money, but comparatively Lights Out is a much bigger hit for its like the people
Oh,
who made it
sure.
because it's like, hey, do you want to make 8 times what the movie costs, or do you want to
Sure.
be in deficit? And
Yeah.
so,
I mean, the landscape says that if you're not making some sort of franchise sequel thing, you're making like horror. Like there
yeah,
was 4 horrors this summer,
yeah,
and there was a stretch where it was like horror, new horror, new horror. It's like, guys, we could spread them out if you want. Like, what is
yeah.
going on?
It's kind of funny though because all the horrors have done well,
Uh-huh.
but none of those horrors have been allowed to play in China because all of them have paranormal stuff in them, like The Conjuring, Lights Out, like
The Purge.
The Purge.
You
Oh,
you would think they'd want to play that with all the anti-US stuff.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
most
you're right.
most of the horror movies, especially if they had ghosts, didn't play in China, so they didn't. they couldn't rely on that to bring back their money. Whereas
Listen,
in Tarzan,
if you're making a movie for like 8 to 10 million and you're worried
yeah.
about China, you got
Well, no, it's just
problems.
that's where all the big movies are making their money,
Yeah,
right? So it's
yeah.
like the small movies are like, no, we can't make them for like. So Lights Out, I guarantee you, there was not a thought given to like when the guys were making Lights Out of what the hell is still doing China, because
Mhm.
they weren't making it for China, they were making it for North American audience.
Yes,
Whereas
very
in like
fair.
we've said several times, many big movies, including Suicide Squad, although there's magic in it, there's not ghosts, so it should probably be able to be launched in China.
Ooh,
Um, it's
good point. We can get to that when we get to that. But
yeah,
yes, very good point.
so it's just the bigger movies have that market to go to, whereas in the small horror movies don't. So they better be good enough for entertaining American audiences compared to the big ones, where it's gonna be like, we don't care if you don't like us because we're gonna make 80% of our budget over there. So that's
Mm.
just funny.
And
So
well, a note to touch on. I mean, it's the closest either one of us has been to being perfect. Peter
perfect,
was
yeah.
was quite fucking close this
Frick.
weekend.
Oh man.
Stupid Nerve in fifth place.
Nerve killed me. I just figured it's a new movie with Franco, and this girl wouldn't shut up about it at my work, and she was 22 and she loved Franco, and she was just like, oh, it's gonna make like 80 million, and I'm like, it's not gonna make 80 million. I'm like, because she's like, how do you think it's gonna do? I'm like, if it does 20, it'd be doing great,
That's true.
so
It made about
and
10.
yeah, so I'm just like, it'll be doing great if it made 20. And it's like that'll be like the people who made that movie would be thrilled if it makes 20.
Mhm.
So, but I was just like, because Ice Age has done poorly, I thought that was gone, and I just thought, yeah, it's gonna bump up high enough to get that spot, and it freaking just didn't. So I lost out on it. Perfect.
Yeah, you see, I'll
So,
let you into my little thought process. Is I always try to figure out what's going on the week before and sprinkle it like
yeah,
yes, like yes, trends figure one way, like, well, first of all, if a big either superhero movie or children's movie is dominating, I usually keep that in my mind. But
yeah.
if there's like comedies or horrors that are kind of floating, I try to keep track of that too. And that's why I was like, well, you know what, Lights Out in fifth, and it didn't happen.
It does seem funny that like comedies and horror movies will launch and they'll never hit number one, or they're
Hmm.
very rarely, but they'll stay at 4 and 5
Yes,
freaking
yes,
ever.
yes.
Whereas in those bigger movies will go one, and then the next week there'll be two, and then there'll be like six.
Yeah.
So, meanwhile, those freaking comedies and horror movies just stay at 4 and 5, and like, oh, they're at 4 and 5 last weekend. They'll be 4 and 5 this weekend. Nope,
Yeah,
four and
that's a
five
good
again
point.
next weekend.
Yeah,
It's
the movie that was above them leapfrogs
yeah,
below
it goes
the next
below
one.
them, and it's just like, what happened? It's like, sure, that one that was above them has made like 100 million more,
Right,
but
right.
meanwhile, this is staying solid at 10 million, and it's not going anywhere. It's every weekend it's making like, oh, it
It
made 11 million, now it's making 10. It's like,
it says something for the audience. Yeah, it's not popular, but the people that want to see it,
we'll
are
go see
taking their
it. Yeah,
time. Yeah,
yeah,
and some people are probably going back. So that's
yeah,
that's the difference.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's no
it's.
one's rushing out to see the movies the same way, but
Mhm.
they do have staying power that people are like, no, I want to see that movie. It's like, oh, I heard it was good. I think more than any other movies, particular horror movies, I think are getting money from word of mouth.
Yeah,
Like people just their friends saying, "Oh, you got to see Lights Out." It's like, it's that YouTube thing. You got to see The Conjuring 2. Have you seen The Conjuring? Like I watched The Conjuring because of Conjuring 2 coming out. So it's
word of mouth is
it,
probably, these people on YouTube should cover that word of mouth
yeah,
in horror.
word of
I
mouth.
wonder.
Because
I wonder if we'll ever get a hero to cover something like that in
I
horror.
don't know.
Horror needs a hero.
If only I knew a couple guys that talk about horror
True,
movies.
man. Independent
Oh
horror and
man,
word of mouth. People should really talk about that.
yeah. Yeah, it's never gonna happen. Don't worry
It's
about
it's
it.
it's coming. It's coming soon. All the time. What's up, Patrick? Oh, and BR011 1997. Hello, hello, everybody.
Hi.
Um,
whoever you are.
All right, so
Hey, Pat.
Born,
Bourne, yeah.
same old, right? I
So
mean,
yeah, it's funny because like CP. When did you see Bourne? You saw it on
I I have a habit Thursday nights
Thursday nights.
or like movie night. That's
Yeah. If you don't know, cheap night in Canada is Tuesday. Because like I just assumed it was like this in America too, but it's not. But in Canada, it like the average movie costs around $10, and here it costs with if you have like a card that gives you a discount, which I do, doesn't give you much of a discount, but on Tuesdays it's like $6, or if you have the card, it's like 5.40 or something like that. So it's like you can pay to four people, it's just over $20 to go see a movie. And so
nice.
my family, like my daughters, wanted to see Bourne. They've seen all the Bourne movies. Take a shot. And, and my wife wanted to see it, and my parents wanted to see it. My mother never. And then this is like a whole new
Really?
tequila,
Okay.
like tequila. If I ever mention my mother again, it's just down half a bottle because she doesn't even watch movies barely. But she watched. My dad showed her all the Bourne movies a little while ago, and like when we saw Independence Day, I was like, "Do you want to come to the theater?" My dad came, and she's like, "No, I'll stay home." But no, my mom was like, "Oh, I'll go see Bourne in the theater," and I was just like, "Really? Okay." So we all went as if like the six of us went and watched Bourne together, and you know
That's funny.
it finished, and my dad was like, "What'd you think? Good, hey?" And I'm like, eh.
Here's what I'll say. I mean, if you go and watch the honest trailers, guys, I
Yeah,
never thought of all the first three Bourne movies as like this cohesive
yeah,
samey stuff, but they nail it. Like
yeah,
it's shaky cam. He gets in a weird car chase, and it's the
yep.
person who, yeah. So this is kind of the same, but the car chase in what is this? Is Jason
This
Bourne is the
is
name of the movie?
technically the
Five,
fifth one, but the
right?
fourth one with Matt Damon.
The car chase is pretty fucking dope.
It is. It's kind of insane though. Like I
Yeah,
love like
it's
if you're making me pick, I like the car chase in the first one because it was the most realistic.
is that the one
Because
down the
it's
stairs?
yeah, where he goes down the stairs in the Mini Cooper and stuff, and it was just like that. It although it
I need
wasn't
to
nearly
watch the
as
first one again. I
flashy.
haven't seen that in so long.
Yeah, it's not nearly as flashy as the big chase at the end of Jason Bourne, but it's the most realistic one out of all of them. Like the thing is, like it's like he's crashing into things, especially in this one. He's crashing into things where it's like, yep, that would have totaled the car. Yep, that would be undrivable. Yeah, and meanwhile he's still going.
So let me intervene in what you're saying to give people an idea of where I come from. I'm a bit of an action like if if the movie's not so good, but the sense of wow is there, I kind of forgive things.
Yeah,
And when we go to the movies, we go to this really updated where they have the reclining seats,
nice.
like regular people food. Like it's a really legit
Yeah,
movie theater. Um, Props to Brad, my date who always pays for me. Um, they have like it literally was just updated like this year, so the sound system is brand new, and every time that truck would hit those cars, it was
it's
so
like,
crunchy. Yeah, it was so
yeah,
crunchy and bassy. It was like, oh, this is awesome. So I kind of got like, Dolby Digital would for
yeah.
what they were doing. But I agree. Yeah, I got a bit of a Die Hard 5 out of some of the car stuff that they were
Some of it,
doing.
yeah, a little bit. Like, yeah, that would have broke the car in half. No, it's still driving. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Bourne had a big crash. It gets out and starts walking.
Well, yeah, when Bourne was getting messed up, yes, but what was it? It was like a SWAT truck, right?
Yeah, it was a SWAT. It was a SWAT truck that the one guy has, and Bourne has a Charger,
Yeah,
um,
you would think.
Dodge
Yeah,
Charger.
I can imagine two cars like bouncing off of the SWAT truck, but I would imagine that it would like kind of get stuck at some point and not just
Yeah, when
flip them over.
like if you haven't seen the movie yet, he goes through about 20, 25, 30 cars
And
that
they're
are
right next to
that
each
are
other.
parked, and he just he just plows right through them without like, and it's different. I've seen the one movie where the guy has like I think it was even Mad Max where they have the funnel on the front of the thing
Yes, yes.
so that it flips the
That would
cars
make
out of
that
the
happen.
way.
Yeah.
This was not the case. This was just a flat front truck.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it just moved these things and flipped them all over the place, and it looked incredibly cool, but it was just incredibly
Oh
unrealistic.
yeah, sure, sure.
But the whole movie is pretty unrealistic. The technology is just like, oh, I can do this with this, and on the cell phone, I can do this, and it's like I love the Jason Bourne movies. I literally do. I think they're some of the best like spy
Yeah,
movies. I think James Bond would have his ass kicked by Jason Bourne, and that's coming from a guy who's seen every James Bond movie.
I just want better camera work.
Oh yeah, the shaky cam was a little out of control, for sure. And I don't know. It's the weak thing in this was the story. It was just like incredibly weak story compared to the other ones. It felt like, oh, and we're gonna tack this on now to try and make a story out of it, but it was just felt really forced.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I agree with you, and it kind of sounds like we're both kind of tacking onto it. The problem is, I feel like the other ones are just so good that
yeah,
it's better than the Renner version, which, I
although
mean,
actually
that's
I don't think it is. I like the Renner
really.
version. I like the Renner version.
Oh,
I'm one of the few people that came away from them going, I enjoyed that.
yeah,
Um,
I enjoyed all of them. I just
yeah.
happen to think this is 4 and Renner is 5. But
I think this is better. I think Renner's is better just because the story is a bit more compelling and there's
okay,
like it's more cohesive. This one is like Jason Bourne doesn't even want to be there. Like for
yeah,
most of it, like he's brought like he's forced into this completely in the story, whereas in the other ones he's searching for crap, right? Like he's hiding, but then like they can't like I understand the second one they force him kind of back into it, but it's like and this one, really, if he just would have been like, you know what, I'm just gonna let my life, just let it sleep, just let my past sleep.
mhm.
He could have walked away, and
Yeah, you're right.
there was no need to get into like any of the stuff he did, because it would have made way more sense for him just to be like, forget it, it's not really worth it, and it just seemed forced because of that, but still not a bad movie. Like, but
Yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
my whole family, other than my parents, were pretty disappointed in it. Um, and
Well,
particularly my youngest daughter's eye with the camera work. She goes, they
yeah.
kept on zooming in on things for no
Yeah.
reason, and then they'd zoom out, and you wouldn't know what's going on. And
It's nice to assist something. Like, listen, if you have two guys that are fighting that you don't want to, like maybe you want to hide the fact that they're
yeah,
fighting. Like, yeah, that once in a while,
yeah,
once, twice in a movie, but for every single action thing, it's just like,
yeah.
oh, man,
It's I tried actually like I tried cutting like I tried counting or like registering some of the cuts in the fight scenes, and they would go so fast that I'd like
yeah.
I have no clue how many edits were
There's
just in
probably
there.
two cuts in a cut.
Yeah, it's like I was just like I'll be honest, I was trying to count and I don't know how many edits were in that fight scene. It's just like
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Eh,
That and the one thing I'll say about the dumbest fight scene in the whole movie. There's a guy, and this isn't spoiling anything really. There's a guy who is not a super secret, cool assassin spy operative guy who decides just out of the blue kind of to
start
take
killing
on
people.
the computer guy who's like
Oh,
who kind of is like, oh, he's not looking. I'll hit him with the. It's like he's Jason Bourne. You know who he is. That's like me going, you know what? Bruce Lee's not looking. I think I could take him. It's like, guess what? I'm getting my ass kicked. It's Jason Bourne. He's gonna kill you. It's just the way. So I was just like, that's unrealistic. That guy would just be like, forget it. You know, there's no point.
well,
So
Jason Bourne, it did its money.
yeah,
It did quite well, and it luckily did because its days are numbered. Uh, we got the last. No, we don't have the last. We have the second to last superhero film coming up this week. Perhaps the biggest.
what's the other one?
Oh, Doctor Strange in
Oh yeah,
November.
Doctor Strange. I
See,
forgot.
see, we're just so beaten up over
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
So this has got to be the biggest, if not last, gasp of the summer, which
This
hasn't
oh,
really been very gaspy.
what's it called? Doctor Strange isn't out till what, like November or October? So
November.
November. So this is I would say this is the last
summer.
gasp.
This is the last gasp for the summer.
This is the last gasp of the summer. I think it has to be.
I
It's
think, I think twofold. I think we're going to get, and this is our last chance at a $100 million weekend this summer, and I think this is where we get our summer. Like this is the last bit of it.
Because we were saying before, it's like not since like the last big opening was the last big, like not including cartoons. And I love cartoons, but the last big one was pretty much Civil War. And so it's like the last comic book movie. And like we both have a friend that is so done with comic book movies, but me and CP aren't. So it's like, and this is I've been waiting for more than any other one this year. I think this is the one I've been waiting for, but based on the footage I've seen.
Let me abbreviate / correct what you've said.
Okay.
I am not sick of certain. Like X-Men, I was just like.
Yeah, no, I was too.
I'm not in the mood today. Just maybe next year, guys. Just like let's say.
No, it was very.
And especially at the time too, where it's just like, guys, there's so much of this. Yeah. Like it was 2 weeks after Civil War, maybe 3.
There was 3, but it was kind of by that point. I think it was almost like white noise.
Mm-hmm. It's
just
I don't
like
care.
we've already had. Okay, we had awesomeness in Deadpool. That
a shocker.
Everybody loved it. The people who didn't love it,
lying.
are either lying or they don't have a sense of humor, right? So it's like there are people that don't like dirty humor in any way. Okay, I get you. It's like fine. But we know of a guy named Brian Lomax who really liked that movie, and he's not a big fan of dirty humor, but he liked the movie. So, right? So it's like everybody loved that. Then you had Batman vs. Superman, which divided people. You have people like Lee who freaking thinks it's the best movie of the year. And then you have people who are like, you know what? I'm done. Like, I don't even want another comic book movie. And you have a lot of people in between. But it was very divisive? Yeah, divisive, I think.
Yep.
And then you had Civil War, which
Marvel.
was totally fun, but pretty much totally meaningless. And again, had no real villain and didn't have, like, it was entertaining as anything, but it didn't, it's any consequences that came in that movie are going to be fixed in the next one, because it's like, oh, they're fighting now. Oh, they're separate. Don't worry, they're going to be back together by the next Avengers movie. So it was all just pretty fights. And, this is the one where I think people have been waiting for, because it's very different from everything else we've seen other than Deadpool, of course. So. But by the time freaking X-Men came out, it's like, oh, let's not even count the Wolverine movies. This is the 6th X-Men movie. So it's like, forget the Wolverine movies, because that's 2 more. This is the 6th X-Men movie. And I think the fact that they've, in the last couple, even though they've done well, is they've rewritten the history of the X-Men from the first movies to the next one. I think fans are just tired, and this one just had the same thing over again. It was like, oh, look, Magneto is upset and he's gonna kill the world, and it's like, oh, it's like, but
Magneto was a worse person than Apocalypse in that movie.
It's like, if you actually look what was going on, Magneto
he has a lot more to speak for.
Magneto, like that's part of the thing I was like kind of a little bugged at the end of the movie, where he just shakes Charles's hand and walks off, and I'm like, do you realize how many people he killed when he was doing this whole thing and breaking bridges and killing the Sydney Opera House? And it's like, meanwhile, they just let him walk away. Goodbye, Charles. Goodbye. It's like, what? It's like
he's a tortured soul.
Yeah, and I get Michael Fassbender. Like Michael Fassbender was great again as him. Like I don't blame him one bit. It's purely just, I think people are just tired of it at this point. And it's like, we got another fun Quicksilver scene, but we had a Quicksilver scene like that. So it's not like it's like we've all seen that now. So it was enjoyable, but it was kind of like, yeah, that chocolate bar was really good the first time. I enjoyed it the second time too. But like it, when you've never had chocolate, you try it that first time, you're like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You have the second one, you're like, oh, it's still awesome, but yeah, I've had it now. And
that's kind of what it was. It was like, this is really good, except I've had 3 other chocolate bars. And one of them kind of sucked, and
Yeah.
Can we just have like some chips or something? Because
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think X-Men was white noise by that point, and I think its box office showed it because it didn't do all that well comparatively, especially compared to all the other comic book movies of the year. So, but Suicide Squad is the one. Like I said, it's drastically different than everything else. So
It's got to be uh, good, bad, or indifferent. It's it's got to rejuvenate something this
yeah.
year because this year has been so. I mean, listen, unless you really enjoy family movies, which I've heard that Pets is even for as much money as it's making, it's kind of eh.
Oh, it's Toy Story with pets, and it's exactly that, and it's fun, but it's not doing anything you haven't seen 10 times already
Yeah, and
in other
it's really
films.
unfortunate.
It's just it looks pretty, and it's a good way to kill an hour and a half. It's not even 2 hours long. It's an hour and a half. It's like 88 minutes long, so it's not even that technically because you
There
take
was
10 minutes of trailers or 10 minutes of credits off of there. So really, it's 70 minutes long. So
yeah, and the little minions thing beforehand.
yeah,
The
so
There's the 4 year stretch of Pixar that starts with Incredibles, and I would say I'll say I guess it ends with Up. But there was that stretch where it's what Incredibles,
Wally.
Wally, Up, Ratatouille, I think is in there.
No, I think that's
What
before. I think
that's before 04? I thought that was like '07.
maybe.
Well, regardless, it's
Yeah.
Incredibles and Up and Wally that are like
Yeah.
what I'm really like focusing on.
Yep.
Where they were good Pixar movies, but they were good films. Like they
Yeah.
were
They were
good
just like those are
movies.
awesome films where you watch them,
Right.
like incredible films. Like not I came away from those three films going, oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
awesome films.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, not just animated ones, they were really good films in and of themselves. Whereas in stuff like Secret Life of Pets, you're like, oh, it's nice, it's only, but it's nice animated films, right? It's like there's a difference, right? Like you can
Yeah.
have an animated film that's
Yeah.
good, but then you can have an animated film that's like that's a film, and it's like they should have nominated that in the category of film, not animation film.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
Mm-hmm.
it's
And we
but
haven't had something like that.
no.
Finding Dory is
I haven't
again
seen it. I heard it's fun but
it's
incredibly
Finding
predictable.
Nemo reversed. It
Yeah,
really is like it's it's like a soft reboot of sorts.
like my youngest daughter once saw it. She's just like, it was so predictable. Everyone clapped when Dory found her parents, and it was just, oh. And I went, Dory found her parents? Thanks for ruining it for me. And she's like, you knew it was coming. Everyone knew it was coming. And she literally sighed and just was like, why did anyone clap? What was the point? It's like you knew she was going to find her parents, so it's compared to like Pixar's gone down. I don't know. Pixar to me at one point had the golden standard of animation in North America,
Right. And even
and
they've been kind of dragging ass a bit.
Disney took over, which shocked me because it's like I kept on like there's a few movies I went to where I swore as I was about to watch them that I was going to watch a Pixar movie, and then they happened, and I swore I was watching a Pixar movie like Wreck-It Ralph, but Wreck-It
Oh,
Ralph was a Disney movie. I
mhm.
was like, oh, this is Disney. I'm like I thought it was Pixar. It's like so there's a few movies that they've done now where it's just like the last bunch of Disney movies compared to Pixar movies, Disney's made better films, and
All right.
that's
So
you know
so for 2016, um, Dory's number one with 470.
jeez.
Civil War's number two with 406. And then Deadpool is three with 363. Jungle Book,
Is that domestic or worldwide?
domestic.
That's domestic. Okay.
Jungle Book's number four at 362. I don't know if that's still out. That if it is, it has a little bit of a chance to pass Deadpool, which is pretty impressive. Zootopia 5, Batman vs Superman 6, at 330. Zootopia was 341. Secret
Yeah.
Life of Pets 303, and then between 7 and 8, 303. Secret Life of Pets. X-Men Apocalypse is eighth, 155.
Wow.
It's like you have the heavy hitters, and then it's just this fucking $150 million
That's a
void.
big drop.
We have 7 movies that are huge, and then just a bunch
Yeah.
of oh yeahs. Central Intelligence is the 10th highest grossing domestic film of the year.
Holy
10th.
crap. For a
Star
comedy
Trek
like
Beyond's
that.
already in 12th. Already in 12th. For that matter, Ghostbusters is already 13th. Guys, this is a fucked up year.
It's a bad year for movies. I heard someone the other day talking about going, oh, this is a great year for movies. And I was like, really, why?
Did they say?
No. They're just like, well, look, and I'm like, well,
Yeah,
it's like, what is there? It's like,
it's great if you have 5-year-olds or you're a horror fan, like you're a mainstream
yeah,
horror fan, because horror hasn't been, and
horror's been,
without
yeah, decent.
without any sort of like, Captain America, Jason
Yeah,
Freddy type thing. They've been
yeah,
making horrors that are just their own thing.
yeah. Horror movies
Impressive.
have done like, of course, they've done, like we were saying before, they've done well on a small scale.
Yeah.
They've done
Yeah.
well on their budget was 5 million and they made 40.
Right.
And
Right.
guess what? They spent 2 million on advertising. And
Hmm.
so they've made money. It's like that's you can, again, we said Tarzan freaking still hasn't made back its budget. And even though it looks like it's doing well, it still hasn't made back its budget. So it's just like you could have that, or you could have like one that made past 8 times its budget.
Hmm.
So I don't know. This year is just, it
Yeah.
is terrible for movies.
It's creepy. It's creepy that with a really good case scenario, that Suicide Squad opens the weekend and is already the 8th highest grossing film of the year.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I'm going to predict that it opens and it is the 10th highest grossing film of the year from its weekend. And Central Intelligence is currently 10th with 125.5. And
do
I'm
you
gonna
think? Wow,
I'm gonna say 128 for Suicide
wow.
Squad this weekend.
I see. I'm worried because uh, between superhero fatigue and the
God damn it.
fact that people are still like, oh, DC, that, and it's like, get over it. I'm worried it's not going to break 100. I want it to break 100. Like I want it to make that much money. I want
Hmm.
it to, but I'm worried it's not going to. Like me
I
and
don't
my
know.
wife Beth were talking about this, and she goes, "Do you think it's going to break 100?" And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I really want it to, but I just don't know if people are going to run out and see it the same way. But there's been so much, um,
Advertising?
publicity for it and
Hmm.
stuff. It was funny though. I was talking to a girl at work who's she's 29 years old, and she was saying like, she was really like super hyped about it.
This
But
isn't the Nerve Girl, is it?
no.
Okay.
She's gone. She was just there for 2 weeks. But she did go see Nerve with the Nerve girl on the weekends because they became friends. Um, but no, she was just saying, she's like, well, look at the cast. And she was like, what has Will Smith done? She's like, he's not a star anymore. And I'm like, well, it's like, he hasn't had a massive hit, but I'm like,
He hasn't
he's
really
been,
worked either.
he hasn't really been working that much. I'm like, he's been trying for Oscars, kind of. It's like with
Yeah.
Concussion and stuff like that. And those aren't movies that make like a lot of money comparatively. They never are. It's like they're
Right.
not like, because she's like, this was a bust and this was a. I'm like, what do you consider a bust? And she's like, well, if it didn't make $100 million, I'm like, but if it only cost 20 million to make and it made $80 million, that's not a bust by any stretch. It's like
Right.
that's freaking making money. Just because it didn't make 100 million, just because it didn't make 200 million, it's like so. But I don't know. I really want it to make over 100. I like I don't know what did Batman made over 100 its opening weekend, right?
Oh yeah. Um,
Yeah,
um, um, um,
I think
I
it's
know
one of those
Civil
things.
War did like 190, I think. Batman did 166
Okay, so
in March.
it should do it. I think people have been waiting for this movie, and it's been publicity. Like there's been enough publicity about it and stuff. Um, I don't know if it'll make what you're thinking it'll make. I hope it does. Like
Yeah.
every bone in my body wants it to do really, really well. Not just because I'm a DC fan, which I am,
Hmm.
like that, and then saying that, I still love Marvel movies. So if anyone wants to jump on that bandwagon and call me whatever, I still like the Marvel movies. But I just want it to do well, and I like the fact that they're going with a concept. I like the fact they got David Ayer as a director, and the casting, and like they shot in Toronto. I want this movie to make money. It's like it's like I recognize a lot of where they are.
It really should, even if it does have a strong opening weekend and then take a horrible drop, a la Batman vs Superman. I think it'll make a lot of money this weekend for a bunch of reasons, because there hasn't been much to talk about all summer. We've kind of been waiting for this as kind of like the spiritual answer to Deadpool.
Yeah.
Even though it's not really, super, jokey. It's just
no. But I've heard from what I've heard. I've only watched 3 reviews for it so far, and most of them have been very positive. And they said like the chemistry in the cast is really good, and there are the jokes that are in there. Most of them pretty much hit because they work within the chemistry of the relationships. So I don't know. I'm thinking it's going to work. Like if it has a really good first weekend, but gets really good word of mouth, I think its next weekend will be pretty good too. But I don't know. It's one of those things where it's just assuming it's even just a good movie. I think it's gonna it should do well.
Yeah,
especially by word of mouth and stuff.
Luke says, what do you make of the petitions to shut down Rotten Tomatoes because Suicide Squad isn't getting good reviews?
Yeah, it's got like 36 or something as its Rotten Tomatoes score. You want to do this one first? Or you want me to do it?
Go ahead. I mean, I go ahead.
I think it's stupid. Like Rotten Tomatoes is a site that just takes movie reviews. It's like they don't pay for them. Now I know to be a certified reviewer for them, you have to literally like have a job in the industry to some degree. So like the Smos became reviewers for them, but they had to get established first and stuff like that. So I don't even think Jeremy Johns writes for them. It's like so is there a bias there? Maybe. Who knows? If people want to throw the fact that they didn't like Batman on this one, and they're just like, "Oh, DC doesn't know what they're doing," and so there may be a bias there, but you're not petitioning to shut down a site. Is just, I don't like the score that it has on IMDb, so let's stop IMDb. It's like, what? It's like it makes no sense. You're not going to do anything. So
my thing is, first of all, it's only one score.
Yeah.
They usually have two. They have the
they have critics. The critics and they have the people.
And then they have the audience score. Another thing is there's a guy on YouTube who does reviews that he gives you all the separate scores of Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic.
I've heard of that guy.
And IMDb, which kind of gives you all different tastes. He's a bit of a dick. A lot of people hate him, but that's neither here nor there.
I heard he's hung like a horse, though.
I've heard that too. I have
so
It's me, for those who are stupid.
I can't verify the hung like a horse thing. I'm just saying, I've heard.
I can't either. The thing is, the people who are getting upset are the people who are putting so much into a number. Like, guys, if you're you're getting angry about a score with them for the most part for a movie you guys haven't seen yet. Like, what do you want to see the movie? Go. Like,
I wanted to see Jason Bourne. Like, and you told me right before I went and saw it, I was talking to CP and I said, I'm going to see Jason Bourne. He's like, all right, don't get your hopes too high. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. And sure enough, it's not that good a movie. It's not a bad movie. It's not as great as I consider the other Bourne movies great. It's not bad. It's just not nearly what they are. And going in, being told that by my friend, I could go, okay, So CP doesn't think it's that great. I can take that information and I could choose to throw it out the window if I want to,
Mm-hmm.
or I could just be like, okay, and then I can watch the movie. Now I watch the movie and I pretty much completely agree with CP.
Yeah.
It's like, but if I disagreed, it's it's still just like that's my opinion. It's like that. It's like, oh no, I thought it was the best Bourne movie ever.
You know,
Okay, you can think that. It's like you're allowed to think that. No one told you. No one says you can't. You'd be wrong,
another
but
another thing is, uh, I would appreciate that as a film fan.
yeah,
Is if you go into any movie expecting to be disappointed, there's only up. The only
yeah,
place you can go is up because
yeah,
you're expecting it to suck, and even if it's kind of you're actually you instead of being with the thought and plan of it being bad, you're actually pleasantly surprised with it.
yeah, yeah. You're like,
So
no, it was good. Like Ghostbusters.
yeah,
I
yeah,
I walked in going, I don't even want to see this movie, but I'm gonna watch it.
mm-hmm.
And I was now again, I didn't. There wasn't one point where I was like, ha ha ha, that's so funny. I wish there was, because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't, but I didn't hate the movie. I just didn't love the movie, but I didn't hate the movie, and
Mm-hmm.
so I was surprised enough that, and especially with like certain performances, like Leslie Jones, because she like everything in the trailer told me that her character was going to be really annoying, and her character wasn't really annoying. Her
Yeah,
character was
yeah, that's
actually
fair.
fine,
That's pretty fair.
and so it was just like my expectations going in was that was going to be a bad thing, but I was like, just see what happens, and she was fine. Again, the movie's not great in any way, but it's just
Painfully
it's
bland.
where your expectations sit. Sometimes, like I'll be honest, my expectations were really high going into Batman versus Superman, and they weren't exactly met, but they weren't. I wasn't disappointed with the film either. You
Oh,
know,
sure,
very
sure.
rarely do I go into a film with super high expectations and come out going, "Yep, that's exactly it. Met exactly what I wanted." Like the only film this year that's met my expectations of what I was hoping it was going to be, and was Nice Guys. That was it. Like I don't think there's been a film like Civil War definitely didn't. Like I was like hoping it was going to be what more epic. Instead, it was like an okay story with 10 minutes of fighting at an airport. It's like
Mm.
it definitely didn't meet my expectations. It wasn't a bad movie by any stretch, but it just didn't meet my expectations. So I don't know.
Ramon says he did the same thing with After Earth today. I went today.
Oh
That's
really?
interesting. He went in expecting the worst and got. Eventually, it wasn't that bad a movie.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't hate that movie. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it. And people shit on it really fast. And I'm just like, you know what? It wasn't nearly a terrible movie.
That was kind of John Carter for me.
Yeah.
I so appreciate how poor it did, how much people said it's not worth the time. I was like, this is actually quite good. Same thing for Lone Ranger too. I really enjoyed Lone Ranger after everybody hated it.
Yeah. See, I can't get on you with
Yeah,
that.
that's
I
fine.
hated Lone Ranger,
Yeah, right. And
but I also think I kind of really dislike Army Hammer, so
well, that and it seems as if Gore Verbinski and Johnny Depp have kind of you got to kind of split them up at that
yeah,
point.
it's like I think you guys shouldn't work together
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
I
because
understand you had some really good times
a
and you
couple
made a
of
lot of money.
pirates,
Yeah,
Rango they did after that too, and then
yeah, I
guys,
understand, but
stop.
see other
You're not
people.
Scorsese and De Niro. You have to
Yeah,
stop now.
yeah.
Patrick thinks that Suicide Squad will take number one for at least 2 weeks. Um,
What's out
well,
afterwards? Have we checked that out?
Sausage Party is out
It's
next
not
weekend.
going anywhere.
Well, I mean that's what you get to. If Suicide Squad is a disappointment, there's a
Yeah,
there's a there's a tiny little
glimmer.
piece of hair of a chance.
It would have to be a pretty big disappointment, though.
Right.
We would have to like get, oh no, this is terrible, and just like listen. Even if you just go in to watch Margot Robbie in short shorts, I think you're going to be happy. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
like
I would say.
just like if nothing else, even if you're like, the plot was convoluted, the action was terrible, but I saw Margot Robbie in short shorts for an hour and a half, and
Hmm.
I don't know if that's sexist to say, but it's she's an attractive woman, and she's apparently playing the character exactly like even the guy who made the character was like, "Yep, I appreciate what she did with that character." So
Yeah, and I don't remember where I've said this, if I've said this in a stream or whatever. If I'm repeating myself, I apologize. But I wasn't that big a fan of Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street. And we get to see everything
yeah,
everything about her in that
everything
movie.
about her in that movie.
But there's that one clip of her breaking glass in a teaser in Suicide Squad or a
Yeah,
trailer, and she
she's like,
bends over, and I was just like, oh
"Oh,
wow. And that was it.
I
That was a clothed girl who had some cheekies hanging out the
yeah."
bottoms, and ah, that
You're
was
like,
all
I
I
gotta see
needed.
this movie. I
I
don't
was
know.
like,
In Wolf of
whoa.
Wall Street, the thing about her is I think she's better than she comes off of because number one, you do see her naked, and which if you've seen Wolf of Wall Street, you know is a glorious thing. Um, God bless that woman when he made her body.
Hmm.
Um, but I think part of it, her character is so kind of annoying in Wolf of Wall Street,
Yeah.
like that. It's like that kind of gets thrown on her sometimes. It's like, oh, Margot Robbie's annoying, It's like, or it's like, I didn't like her that much. Like, neither did I. I didn't like her character that much. But I'm like, her as an actress, she worked fine. Besides the fact you saw her naked and it was awesome. But it's just, it's. I think if she'd had a better character, and this is one of those chances where, like in Tarzan, she was actually really good. I enjoyed her in Tarzan. She
Hmm.
was like, and you don't see her in short shorts in Tarzan. It's like she can act, she can
Right.
clearly act, and it's like she can play a strong female lead, and that's exactly what Harley Quinn is. But she's also just happens to be short shorts and has like pigtails and dyed hair.
Yeah.
So it's the best of both worlds, people.
I'm really kind of excited, and to know that we're not going to see her nude is actually kind of,
I'm
I
fine
don't
with
know,
that. I'll be honest.
encouraging in some sort of way. Yeah, like the short
I'm
shorts is enough for me. I'm quite honest.
quite often, like besides the fact that I watch a lot of movies with my family, quite often, man, I didn't say it, so you don't get to take a shot. Um, I quite often in a film, I'm like, there doesn't need to be nudity for many films, and when
Mhm.
there is, sometimes I'm just like, oh come on. Like I said it in my I think my CP fuck you tag, where it's like Elizabeth Olsen in Old Boy.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
She's in the
After the
tub.
shower, or
Yeah,
yeah, after.
she's in the tub, and you don't see anything, and the like I was like, good for you. Like I was like, you know what? I didn't want like as much as I like. I'll be honest. I'm a man. I like seeing naked women, but I was like, I don't want to see you naked. You're
Mhm.
young. I'm quite happy not. To, and she did, and I was like, great. And then like 10 seconds later, she goes in the other room and takes her like towel off, and I'm just like, what are you doing? It's like why? Like it just disappointed me so much. Now, did I turn the movie off? Heck no. But it's one of those things where I was like, I would have been thrilled not to see that. And in this movie, I think she looks much better in short shorts and the shirt she's wearing than if you would see Harley Quinn naked.
Sometimes letting your imagination do the walking really is quite good enough, quite fun. And
Well,
and again,
quite. How
there's
many
always Wolf
times?
of Wall Street.
How many times have you seen? Um, it's surprising me because like there's some women and I'm watching The Wire with my wife, and the one girl took her shirt off, and I
Mhm.
was just like, those are so much bigger than they look in the shirt, and Beth was just like, yeah, they are. She's like, I totally agree. And then they have the opposite of that, where you have like, what's her name? Freaking Storm, whatever her name is, in
Halle
Swordfish,
Berry.
Halle Berry, where she did her first nude scene ever, and it was the most disappointing nude scene ever because she's like leaning back and she has like a thing and then she flips it down so you can see her boobs and like it's supposed to be this shocking thing and like 20 minutes later she's standing up wearing lingerie and she looked 10 times more sexy
Oh yeah,
in the
another.
lingerie scene.
Speaking of lingerie, Jamie Lee Curtis in True Lies.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Uh, that little dance, that was.
yeah,
I
so
mean,
yeah, so
granted, she's scantily clad, but
yeah, but
you're not. Yeah.
so it's funny because sometimes you're like, oh, if I could only see her boobs, and then like you see them, you're like, wow, they're really not that impressive. And then, like I said,
Right,
some other
right.
women take their top off, and you're like, this isn't going to be anything, and you're like, those are a lot bigger than I thought they were going to be. This is
I forget
so,
where I read it that um, for the human body, curved shapes are an attractive thing.
yeah.
Notice, some people like feet, and there are these lines like cars,
Hmm.
bras and underwear and things like that. They help assist in create
In
those
the curve.
curves that
Yeah.
we enjoy. And when a woman takes a bra off, sometimes that beautiful curve setup that we
Goes away.
enjoy so much, it goes away, and it's not quite as stimulating. So sometimes it's just nice to appreciate a bathing suit or a bra or
Mhm.
whatever.
Thank God
But
no women watch us on the show.
well, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm not against female nudity. I'm
No.
against the lack of evenness. I
Yeah,
think.
there is definitely a like, even in Game of Thrones, which is the most you'll see penis on
Mhm,
screen
mhm.
and stuff in the average thing. It's like, yeah, it's very quick, like, oh, women should be naked, but it's like, and I'll be honest, like, I don't want to see, I don't want to see guys naked, but if you're gonna put the woman naked,
Hmm.
it's if you're gonna be fair. I think the reason it doesn't happen partly is because like they know that more men watch movies than women, and number two, men don't want to do that. Men, because it's the whole thing of like, well, the size of what you have is compared to your manhood, whereas in women they take their top off and no one goes, well, she's not a woman clearly because
Yeah.
they're not as big as that one over there. It's like, no, she could still be super, like, look at,
Just keep casting Michael Fassbender and things.
yeah, you'd be fine.
Wow.
That
Well,
man
Harvey
is
Keitel was kind
That
of
man is
equipped too.
blessed in every way possible. He looks beautiful. He's blessed in that way. He speaks multiple languages. He acts better than most people will ever act in their life. It's
Luke says you
yeah.
didn't want to see Olsen naked. Wow.
No, I didn't because partially also because Luke, I'm an old man compared to you. And she's young, and like it's the same reason I was shocked and kind of disappointed when I saw the girl from Divergent
Shailene
topless.
Woodley?
Yeah, I
What's
was
she
just like,
topless?
she is topless in. Ready, everyone? Go Google. She is topless in a thing called White Bird in a Blizzard, and
Oh, I've heard of that.
she's topless like 3 times. But the
Hmm.
first time she's standing in front of a mirror with a towel, and I was like, "We're not going to see those." And I was like, "100%, we're not going to see those." And then all of a sudden,
Yes, you are. Bring.
she drops it. And I was like, what are you doing? It's just because I'm like, I'm 41. I'm like, you're freaking 18 or 19. I'm like, I shouldn't be looking at that. It's like, you're not a woman. You're a young girl. So yeah, that's why, Luke. I'm an old man compared to
I felt something
her.
similar for
So
for Ellen Page in
yeah,
Tallulah. Is that what it is?
I haven't seen that one yet, but I
The,
know what you're talking about.
the
Yeah,
Netflix
I'll be
movie.
honest, Ellen Page is cute as anything, but if she'd gone if I would have seen her like her a couple of years ago, I would have been like, I don't want to. Tell me when it's over because it's
She's
like
got a
that's
bit of a she's got a gritty enough fuck scene, and she's topless, and especially knowing now that she's
lesbian.
a lesbian, it's just like, wow, that's some good acting. I don't
That's a
know.
whole nother thing. I wonder if she gets is she going to be typecast now? It's interesting because coming out as a lesbian, is she going to be able to get roles, or would she want roles where she's the love interest of a male character? And if she does, would she be cast in them because people now know she's a lesbian and they're like, yeah, well, it's not believable. She's an actress. It's,
I think she fit a very uh, I don't know, niche kind of.
oh, she has a very particular demographic
Yeah,
of
she's
stuff.
she's small and
Yeah, she's cute as
dainty,
anything, but
right?
she rapes a
Uh,
guy in Super. Have you ever seen Super?
yes.
Yeah, where she like just flat out rapes a guy. So,
Uh,
anyways, I don't know. This is their box office, but
Collector says Rotten Tomatoes ratings don't mean anything anymore. They are a bought site, and it's very clear they don't give fair ratings. Well, it's not so much them as it is it's a collection of reviewers, and some
yeah,
of those reviewers almost sound like like a couple. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the big controversy movie this summer. Ghostbusters. There was a bunch that were like, yeah, go out and counteract all the negative.
Yeah.
Go watch it, and it's like you're a critic.
You shouldn't care about that.
Yeah,
You should be
like
judging it on its value of what it is.
right. The social situation should have nothing to do with the film.
Yeah.
Like I never understood. In
It's
the
like
end, it's a
saying, go support
business,
independent. Go see this film because it's independent.
right?
Forget if it's well made, but you should be
Hmm.
supporting independent film. Yeah, but what if it's a shitty film?
Right,
It's
right.
like there are great independent films, such as Swiss Army Man and Green Room, neither of
Mm,
which I've seen, but I've heard are both awesome and independent. And there's shitty independent films.
yeah, yeah.
Just because it's independent doesn't mean it's good. It's like,
Right.
it's there
To
are
point.
terrible ones out there.
I mean, well, I mean, how many? There are so many. Like nobody was crying about Lena Dunham films. Like she had a film that was out.
Yeah,
Her first foray before Girls was a film. Nobody was saying, "Oh, look, it's a woman producer, writer, director, star.
yeah.
Go see it."
Go see
Like
it
it's
because
so
women. It's like,
selective,
but
right? Like
yeah, but oh no, this is a big box office thing. We're trying to save money. We're going. And this movie looks bad. It's if you don't like it, you're a terrible person because of women.
yeah,
And
I don't want to hear that shit. It's a
yeah,
movie.
well, it's the thing. It's like I didn't want to not see it or want to see it because there were four women in it. Just like the opposite of that. I never wanted to see the original Ghostbusters because it was men. I wanted to see it because it looked like a good movie. It's just like Now, sure,
Quality
it
first.
is a it
Quality
is
first.
yeah, it's a male dominated field. Yeah, I'll agree with that. But that doesn't let you off the hook that like if you make a crappy movie, you can just say, well, yeah, but women, we have
Yeah.
women in our movie, so you
Mm.
should see it. It's like, yeah, but there are women in this movie, and this movie is much better made.
Right.
Just
Right.
because all the characters aren't women doesn't mean I should. It's like, yeah, but that
And
one's not all women.
that's the raw deal. The come on, people are giving them a hard time. Like
Yeah. Plus, it's
so
directed by a man.
so
It's
like
like if they want to, if they seriously, I think if they were being smart and they wanted to play this whole you got to see it because of women card, they should have got a woman director.
mm-hmm.
Like Warner Brothers purposefully got a woman director to direct Wonder Woman. Like they went out of their way apparently to make sure they had found a woman director to direct Wonder Woman. They're like, we want a woman director because we don't want this anyone to say, well, yeah, this is like it's a man making her do all these things. No, this is a woman director, so you can't say that. So if you want to say see the movie because a woman directed it and it's about a female, you can say it. Still, it's not the reason to go see the movie, but they at least went out of their way and got a woman director. Ghostbusters can't have that. They had a male director who wrote it also, right? So it's like wasn't directed by a woman, wasn't written mainly by a woman. And like I know they ad-libbed a fair amount on the set, but still, it's like, and they're like, well, women. It's like no, it was directed by a guy. That you don't get that role.
It
So
should just be a character first, and then you
yeah,
worry about the quality first, and then if like it shouldn't matter at some point. It could be a
yeah,
purple alien. Like honestly,
yeah,
the character's got to be good first, and then you worry about the sex, and then you worry about all like.
yeah,
All right, we need a white guy, a black female, and an
yeah.
Asian hermaphrodite. Now let's make a movie. What?
It is funny.
Is it
Like I started rereading Ready Player One, and I know
oh,
Steven Spielberg's making that movie,
mhm.
and the main character it vaguely mentions his race, but it mentions like I think his dad is um I think his dad's Latino and his mom's
Mhm.
white and
Mhm.
so it's like but I'm like you could that was just the way it was written. There's nothing about his race in particular in the book that
Mhm.
makes him any particular race. So I'm like you can cast anyone for that role. Any dude you can and it does have to be a dude because that plays into the rest of the story because there's other stuff that happens in the story
It's also a
that
good character too. But go
yeah
ahead.
no it's like so it's like he's a really well written character And yeah, he is a dude though, so it's like you got to cast a guy, but you can cast any actor for that. Any actor within these age ranges, it's supposed to be roughly high school. It's like you can do anyone. It can be black, they can be white, they can be Asian. Doesn't freaking matter. Find the best actor out there that's in that age range. Don't care what race they are.
Right.
So,
right.
Because the character's good. Yeah.
Right. Little ketchup. Ramon, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Ramon, opinions are like assholes. Why shouldn't it be fair? Luke says, although Margot Robbie is younger than Olsen, Peter. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, but I did not. I'll be honest. When
but
I didn't see that coming actually as much as it just kind of happened so fast with Margot Robbie that other than and she's naked.
It's okay.
So there wasn't a scene where I was like, it just happened, and I wasn't necessarily, and I knew she was going to be naked already actually. Because people had said, "Have you seen Margot Robbie naked?" So I didn't have the expectation that she wasn't going to be.
Right.
So,
some of his best friends are black people. Don't worry about it.
Whose best friends? Mine?
Your argument just sounds like no. Some of my some of my best friends are black people.
This is naked people we're talking about.
Oh, some of your best friends are naked people. Excuse me.
My best friends are naked people. Hey, we're all naked underneath our clothes.
Ramon says many famous blaxploitation movies were directed by white men. Yeah, that's another thing too, where it seems as if the race thing is another thing that really needs to be adjusted. And especially by the Academy, it feels like, especially lately, the last 4 or 5 years, that the Academy pushes up all these movies that have either to do with some form of like racial tension or racial issue, or directly dealing with the like slavery or social rights. Straight Outta Compton was really, really good. Creed was really, really good.
Yeah.
Both I would consider somewhat Oscar thinkable worthy, and they kind of got their ass kicked. But stuff
they didn't get anything.
Yeah, stuff like what was it? It was Selma the year before, 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
Like there's always that some sort of, if it has black people in it, there's always that, I don't know, social connection to. I mean, I want to be wrong, but I haven't been proved wrong yet.
Yeah.
So
I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, right? It's funny because Straight Outta Compton, like, Ice Cube was asked, like, are you going to boycott the Oscars because it didn't get nominated for anything except like original song or something like that? He's like, no. He goes, but I've never gone before, so why would I go this time? He's just like, I've never been invited to the Oscars. No one's ever asked me to come. So it's just another year to me. It's like, if they don't want to have our film there, that's their problem, not mine.
Right.
So, but yeah, it should have got nominated for Best Picture at least because it was a really freaking good movie.
Yeah. So back to Suicide Squad. I don't know what route we took here.
We went on a diverging thing.
Yeah.
Let's do the box office. I gotta get to bed, so I gotta put like 6 o'clock.
Okay, so I don't have it up. I gotta find it.
The only other thing coming out this weekend is 9 Lives with Kevin Spacey.
Oh, right.
Because I asked my daughter, I said, do you want to go see that or Suicide Squad? She goes, actually, I want to see both, but I want to see Suicide Squad more. She goes, I want to see the cat movie, but I want to see Suicide Squad more. And I'm like, of course you do. Yeah, Suicide Squad. So.
Yeah, of course. All right, so here was last weekend.
So yeah, the only thing coming out is Suicide Squad and whatever the cat movie is. I don't know what it's called.
9 Lives.
9 Lives, that's what it's called. Okay. So, oh jeez.
Do you think that Do we have any other chance this summer? Like, is this the last gasp as far as?
I think so. I think this is the definitely the last movie coming out this summer that has a chance of making 100 million its first weekend.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
I agree there.
easily. It's I don't see anything else that I've like. I haven't looked at it recently, but I looked at it a while ago and what was coming up for the rest of August, and nothing caught me that would be like, oh, that's going to be massive. Like we knew Secret Life of Pets was going to be a monster. We
Hmm.
knew Dory was going to be a monster. Like we both called it. We're like, yep, those are going to be massive movies. Um,
Right.
no, there's nothing else that's being released. Suicide Squad's the last thing of the summer. It'll be in theaters for the rest of the summer. Yeah, until
Yeah,
the kids
I'm
go back to
telling you,
school.
I think that we're probably gonna have a strong weekend next weekend with the R-rated cartoon, and then maybe this War Dogs movie going up against Ben Hur's remake, which
Yeah,
really is just kind of getting buried out there. Uh, I
there'll be a
think that
market
would
for
be
it,
it.
but there'll be a market for it, but only like teenagers who are like, I heard this is about a guy. Oh, they made another movie about that. It's like remake. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
not gonna
there's.
do well.
I mean, Hands of Stone is the weekend on the 26th, but I don't think there's much
Have
to
you seen
talk
the
about.
Have you seen the trailer for that?
Hands of Stone?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Like, it looks good.
Yeah.
It looks Oscar baitish.
Hmm.
But again, it seems like a weird time to releasing at the end of August. But I guess like it's not going any against anything like it. So anyone who wants to see it is going to go see it, and there's nothing else really playing that's going to be kind of draw people away from that. So, but
Yeah.
okay, this week, um,
So what do you have in first? Because I can't
I
imagine.
was thinking of having Nine Lives in first. Yeah, okay, we'll go Suicide Squad.
Wait, I haven't opened up the thing yet.
Uh,
All right, so why don't you pick the money for Suicide Squad because that was a side thing I wanted to talk about
yeah.
too.
Oh,
Hey,
frick.
why not? Where'd my app go? I lost
I
my app.
seriously, if it doesn't, I'm gonna be super sad if it doesn't make 100 million.
I really think it will.
Um,
Uh, because they've
I,
pushed forward the dates, the
yeah.
show times. There's early show times,
Oh,
which
really?
usually means that there's a bit of buzz. But I mean, obviously there's buzz, but whatever.
Yeah. It's okay. I'm gonna say you're going 100 and what 30,
I'm gonna say 128 for
128.
Suicide Squad.
I'll go 115.
128.
I want it to
115.
make more than that though. Like if it's my choice, it's making more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love it to open at 140, but I'll be sad if it opens at 80. It's because like part of me is just like people aren't going to go see it. They don't, there's too much backlash.
Nah, I
It's
think
people
I think
don't know who the characters are.
they're
It's
gonna have
just
like a $40 million Friday, and then
because
that.
like my brother-in-law the other day at the family reunion I went to was just like he's like, oh, what's that new movie coming out with the suicide movie? I'm like, yeah. He's like, what's that about? I'm like, how do you not know what it's about at this point? He's like, yeah, that looks all right. I'm just like, it's like killing me here. So
So your picks?
okay, so I'm gonna go. Oh, frick. Okay, I'm gonna go Suicide Squad.
Right.
Um, uh, Jason Bourne,
Mm-hmm.
Bad Moms, Star Trek, and frick. Does Nine Lives beat Secret Life of Pets? Is my dilemma. I'm like, it's Secret Life of Pets. It's 19 million. I'm like right now. So even if it made half of that, it. we'll say I'm gonna get wrong, but we'll say 9 Lives in fifth spot.
Okay, so Suicide at 115. Bourne, Bad Mom, Star Trek, 9 Lives.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna say Suicide Squad. Bourne, Star Trek, D.
Yeah, see, that's where it starts getting complicated.
D.
Like, you got Bad Moms, you got Secret Life of Pets,
Yep,
you
yep.
got Lights Out
It's
still.
fuzzy. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say Bad Moms for Pets 5.
So you think
So
the
I think Suicide at 128, Bourne, Star Trek, Bad Moms, Pets.
so you think 9 Lives isn't gonna make?
I don't think 9 Lives is going to crack the top 6.
Do you, do you
6.
think? Do
I'm
you think
thinking
you're going 6?
Lights Out in 6th, and then I
And
think
6.
9 Lives in 7th.
Wow. So
If we're getting
it's
drastic.
not gonna make like 10 million.
I don't think so because I haven't listened. This is just me going on
Yeah.
my knowledge, but
Yeah.
I don't watch channels that would feature trailers
Yeah.
for 9 Lives, and that's just my dumb mentality. But I just don't think it's big enough.
Neither do I, but I don't know. It makes me sad that Kevin Spacey's in the movie because Kevin Spacey's freaking awesome, and it's like, what are you doing in this movie?
Yeah.
It's like, I hope you either owed someone or you're doing it for a child to make them happy. Like, or they paid you an insane amount. We'll pay you $60 million to be a cat for a while.
So it's another thing where he probably literally could have done the job like from his house and just
Yeah, because
send me a
it's like
microphone and I'll
a
do
lot
it.
of it. Yeah, it's like once he turns into the cat, like 90% of the film is voice work. So,
Yeah.
but still, Kevin Spacey, what are you doing a cat movie? You're better than that. You're Frank Underwood. You're the president of the United States. Come on, dude. It's so. But yeah, that's where I think it's going. I don't know. I'm hoping. I hope for his sake it cracks the top 5. But I
I
don't. I
think Kevin
won't
Spacey will be
preach.
fine no matter what happens to that
Oh
movie.
yeah, no. I
That
don't
movie
think
could
he.
not
I
make
don't
a
think
penny. I
anything's.
think he'll do fine.
It's like he's not going to make Rent if it doesn't make the top 5. He's sitting there going, "Please God, just let this cat movie do well. I haven't saved a penny from anything else."
Do you think, let's just say that Suicide Squad is as bad as that 31 score is
Yeah.
suggesting? Do you think that in as quickly a time as 2 or 3 days that it could open strong on a Friday and kind of tip off by Sunday? Like usually it takes a week for it to,
No. I think it'd take a week,
yeah.
most
Yeah.
likely.
I think whatever strong amount of money it's going to make this weekend no matter what.
Yeah.
And if it does indeed suck, then we'll see a nice big drop.
Have
And
you watched any
maybe
reviews for it yet, or no?
I made the mistake of clicking on Stuckman's because I don't
Yeah,
know, it was up there and I clicked
I
on it.
watched his. He was
He gave it a
very.
good old.
Yeah, he kind of gave it just a middle of the road. Actually, when he started talking about near the end, I was like, you know what? I don't even care what you think,
Mm-hmm.
and I clicked off it. Jeremy Johns gave it a much more positive review. He said it was very good.
When I saw what he gave it, I was like, I don't want to hear anything else because I really I want to. I don't want to be that down about it.
Yeah.
But I am now cautious.
No.
Let me talk to you about something. And if you don't want to hear spoilers, I'm gonna do this, and I'll do this when we stop talking about it. But we're pretty much done. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, bye.
You can go.
Right.
Thanks for watching.
So what apparently has been let out that I guess is known to people who read the comics is that the villain is Enchantress.
Yep. Yeah, I knew that going in.
Okay.
I knew that going in. I knew that from like the second trailer because she's in the movie, yet you never see her with the squad.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you see the squad together, she's nowhere to be seen.
Well,
so like they're walking down the street.
The Joker.
What?
You could say the same thing for the Joker.
Yeah, but I always kind of figured the Joker, like that's the thing, like everyone has said, is the Joker's not nearly in this movie as much as you think he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with like 5 minutes of screen time in total with the Joker, just because he will feature in one of the Batman movies that they're gonna make. It's like
Mm-hmm.
there's no Jared Leto like signed on. He like they said the first person they asked to be the Joker was um, what's his name? I keep on forgetting his name. The guy from Nice Guys, Ryan Gosling,
Okay.
was the first person they asked like to try and cast, and he said no because he did not want to be signed to a multi-contract deal.
Mm.
So that means it's not like this is the Joker and we only got him in this movie. So if you only have 5 minutes of him, it's a big deal. No,
Right.
he's gonna be in other movies. So, and I'm sure it's not like they're gonna do all this work where literally it's just like, oh, and by the way, we're only gonna use him sparingly. We're gonna bring him 5 minutes in this film, 7 minutes in that film. And it's like, yeah, he's one of DC's biggest villains, and everybody loves him. And I think this is the taste that's going to get everyone who wants to see him in the Batman film.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't freak me out. But yeah, I always knew Enchantress was the villain because she's never
What's her deal? Why is she the
she's
villain?
she's Enchantress is basically it's Carla Delevingne or whatever her name is.
Mm-hmm.
But the character
Eyebrows.
is yeah, eyebrow woman. That's all I know her as. I've never seen her in anything else.
Loves to let it
Um,
grow, which makes you
um,
think awful thoughts about downstairs. But go
yeah.
ahead.
But yeah, her character basically is she's like a doctor or a scientist kind of person that's like cave exploring caves and stuff, I guess, spelunking.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes across this witch that basically possesses her, like not a human witch, but like an entity witch.
Okay.
And so like Enchantress is the two of them together. So like in the comics, in one of the comics, there's this thing called Justice League Dark, and it's all the magic people.
Mm-hmm.
That like Superman go like the doctor character tries to get away from Enchantress, and Enchantress goes nuts, and like Superman tries to take her on, and he gets buried under a pile of teeth. Like literally, she just like swarms him
Yeah.
with a pile of teeth and stuff because he's not good against magic. So they have this whole thing called the Justice League Dark, which are all these people that just deal with magic and are like magical based.
And teeth.
And it's like, and they deal with her and like end up having to put the like reconnect her with the thing. They're like, yeah, as much as we don't want to, this is like, this is our option. It's like,
So weird.
so she's basically like, so that's the thing. Like when you see the subway and like you see someone standing there in the subway and it goes right through them and stuff. It's Enchantress, or at least it's to do with her and stuff. So she's all magic based and stuff, and she's big and powerful, and like it made sense. Like all the stuff that I saw happening, that I was like, it's not the Joker as the main villain. So, but I'm sure people are going to assume it's the Joker as the main villain, and that's kind of like a thing. But you don't need the Suicide Squad to take down the Joker. You don't need that many people just to take down the Joker.
That's kind of exciting.
So no, it should be interesting because again, they all have like some of them have powers, some of them don't in Suicide Squad. Like
Mm-hmm.
they were joking with Jai Courtney, and they're like, "Oh, so there's someone who throws like who can make fire out of his bare hands and throw it at people and stuff." And it's like, and there's like a woman there's a guy who's like a crocodile, and you throw boomerangs. And he's like, "Yep." Why? He's like, meanwhile, it's like Captain Boomer, like he's a killer. It's like he's like not a nice guy and stuff. So it's just like it makes sense they'd throw him on the squad. It's like just one more killer, just throw him in there. It's just he happens to have a gimmick of throwing boomerangs and stuff. But yeah, so that's the thing. It's like so she's the big villain and stuff, and I'm fine with that. I'm quite happy with that she's the villain. I've read Suicide Squad comics to some degree. I've read about 20 issues. And I knew she wasn't in it because she's never been part of the squad.
Okay.
So it was just like when they said that she was going to be a thing, I'm like, she's the villain. It's like she's the thing they're going to face because why else would they need that many people? So yeah, there's your spoiler. So, but it doesn't spoil anything.
It's not exactly a spoiler.
It's a spoiler. Oh, Enchantress is the villain. It's like okay, but
you'll get that pretty early. I would hope.
You got to find that out. You got to find out what she does and why her thing. Like because from the trailer it does show her beginnings and how she becomes Enchantress and stuff like that. It shows her like cave, like going spelunking and stuff like that. I remember
How
like because I
many?
watched the trailer.
How many of the squad are we actually losing?
Like two probably.
I'll say three. I'll
I
go.
already know
I'll go
one
with
is. I
level
already
one.
know one is gone.
Wait,
Like like
you know, you've heard of, or what do you mean you
no,
already know?
I know. Like I know the one character who dies
Because of the
automatically.
comics, or because you know, or what?
No, because I figured it out pretty easily,
Okay.
and because he's a character that I don't know, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know him, and then I'm just like, and then you never see him in any of the further things later when they're walking,
Okay.
and so I'm like, and he's the character, you know, spoiler is the character that you always see kind of trying to get away in the trailer. So
Uh-huh.
there's one kind of character that looks like he's trying to make an escape, and they're gonna blow his head up basically because it's like they put like an explosive the size of a grain of rice in the back of your head.
Uh-huh.
So it's just like if like his whole speech, like he's like, if you do anything I don't like, I'll kill you. If you don't, you know,
Mhm.
it's like they don't try and kill you, they just blow your head up.
But
It's like yeah,
that's crazy.
so at least one of like I'm sure one of the other people will probably die, but in the fight, I'm assuming. Um,
Yeah,
but I don't know
I'm
because
gonna
they're
say
all.
three.
I'll be maximum. I think is two, probably. I don't know because I like they're gonna want most of the main ones to stick around for the sequel, and there's
Which
ones that people would be pissed like. Although Killer Croc isn't a huge character, people are going to be pissed if you kill him off because he's in the comic books and he's in the TV show and he's in the he's been in the Batman the animated series and stuff. So
what's strange is like in a lot of the trailers and footage and stuff, they show them sitting at a bar and they're talking
yeah,
about
and
how
that's
they messed up.
after yeah.
Yeah, how they messed up the mission. It's just like, is that part of the end that they're giving us?
I think that's before the big finale where it's
I
like
would hope so.
they've kind of like yeah I watched that scene where it's just like okay obviously something's gone wrong and I think at
Mm-hmm.
that point they're separated from their handler who's Rick Flag
Mm-hmm.
who was supposed to be Tom Hardy which would have been better
Mm-hmm.
because Tom Hardy's a much better actor than Joel Kinnaman although I
Mm-hmm.
don't hate Joel Kinnaman in any way
Mm-hmm.
so but yeah I think that's like near the end where they kind of go okay let's go save the world even though like there's a good chance we're all going to die and whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Let's go save the world. I think that's like that's the little breather before the big finale.
Indeed.
So, but yeah.
Alrighty.
So
Only a little bit more time before some of us get to see it.
yeah, I'm seeing it Tuesday or Friday morning at 10 a.m. You're probably seeing it Thursday night though, so
Yeah,
you'll see it.
I will be in it this time tomorrow.
Yeah. So yeah, Friday morning. I get to see it for work though. You don't get paid to see it. I do.
Yeah, I
So
don't.
I'm getting paid to see Suicide Squad.
That's exciting.
I'm thrilled with that. So
All right. Well, I hope we have good things to say about it. That's
yeah,
at the very least.
I'm almost certain we will. Like
Mm-hmm.
the Jeremy Johns review that I watched was very positive. And he's like, it's not perfect, but it's
Mm-hmm.
really good. It's tons of fun. And and the other review I watched was kind of the same where they're like, this is not a perfect movie, but it's overall it's very good. So I'm just like, yeah, that's all I'm asking for.
I hope so. Yeah.
So
All right, guys. Um, Peter, you want to send us off?
thanks for watching. If you're still around, if you made it this far, and check back with us next week sometime, wherever or whenever that may be. I have no clue. And yeah, see you all later.
Toodles.